Hi guys, welcome back to this video tutorial on JSF and JDBC project example. In the previous videos, we saw how to create a JSF view in which to list the employees retrieved in the database and how to add a new employee to the list and store it into the database. Now in this video we will see how to select a value to assign to a field from a list stored in the database using the JSF tag age column selectOneMenu. This is the JSF view that we created to insert a new employee into the database. Now we want to replace this input text for the manual input of the company name of the employee with a list of values from which to select the one that we want to assign to this property, where the list is stored in a database. So we have to read the list from the database and then to replace this tag with a selectOneMenu tag for the selection of the value. First of all, let's create a new bin where to store the companies retrieved into the database. So, in the model package here, new class, company, this class will have only two properties. That is the key and the name. Let's create getter and setter. Okay. Name is the property that we want to see and to select into the list into the JSF view. Okay, now let's open this view, and we have to replace this age column input text that is for the manual enter of the value, and we can copy and paste the value of the new tag selectOneMenu, and delete this one. Let's see better this new component. So the property company of the employee object is where the value selected into the list will be stored. The F column select items inside the selectOneMenu is another tag that provides to the selectOneMenu the list of items. Its values are taken by a collection, the company's list collection, that will be defined into the baking bin. This name company is used to cycle on the collection to list all the values. Then item value is the property that we will use to assign to the company property, and the item label is the property that we will see into the list in the JSF view. In this case they are the same. Okay, so let's go into the baking bin to declare this collection. Baking add employee. Okay, now we have to generate a getter and setter so that the view can see this collection. Okay, now we need to read the list of companies from the database. But before that, let's create the company table into the database using JDBC and insert some sample data. Now let's create a new class where to define the method for the creation of the table. Let's copy and paste the code. And import the package. Okay. This method is very similar to that one that we created for the creation of the employee table here in the previous videos. And let's see how to create this table with JDBC. These are the connection parameter, the JDBC driver, that is that one for Derby database, the URL, where here there is the path of the database on the file system of my computer, and username and password. So here there is the registration of the JDBC driver, creation of the connection object, passing the connection parameter, then creation of the statement object, a normal statement object. Here we are checking if the table companies existing in the database or not, and if not, here we are creating a new table with that name. This is the SQL query string to create the new company, where here we are saying to the database to assign to generate automatically the key value to assign to the ID field and the name field. Then here we are executing the SQL query on the database. Finally, here we are closing the statement and the connection object. Now we want that this method is called when our application starts. So we can do it adding a call to this method here in this class, custom system event listener, that we saw in the previous videos. Here there is the test of the event, that is the start event of the application, post construct application event. This is a JSF event, and after the creation of the employee table, we can define an object that we will use to call the method. And then create the table with this statement. Now we want to store into the database some sample data about company table, and to do it, let's create a new method that insert one company object using JDBC. So we have to add it to this class. Let's copy and paste the code of the method. Again, registration of the JDBC driver, creation of the connection object, the SQL query string to execute, the creation of a prepared statement. In fact, we can see that the SQL query string has a parameter here, similar to that one that we saw for the insert employee method. Then we are setting the value of the parameter here to be stored into the database. That is the company name, where company is the company object passed as parameter of the method. And here there is the execution with the execute update method of the query using the prepared statement object. And the value returned by this method is the number of rows affected into database by this execution. And if it's all okay, it will be of 1, because we are storing only one company in one row into the database. Here we are reading the key value assigned from the database to the new row with the get generated keys, as we asked to the JDBC driver here with this second parameter of the prepare statement method. And finally, we are closing the prepare statement and connection object, and return back to the method that is calling this method the ID assigned to the new row. Now let's call this method from within the custom system event listener here to insert some sample values into the database. And let's copy and paste the code. Here result is the string value returned by the create company's value. In fact, we before inserting some data, we are checking if the creation of the table is okay, and simply here we have some company names that we set and then insert into database. First one, third, fourth, and so on. Now let's start again our application and create the new table. Let's see the new table into the database. Okay, we have to stop here. Okay, here there is the new table with the values that we inserted by code. Okay, now let's create a method to retrieve the company list from the database. We have to add it to this class. Now let's copy and paste its code. This one, find all companies. This method is very similar to the other that use JDBC connection. So the creation of a normal statement, the query select from app.companies, where app is the schema into the database where companies table is stored, the execution of the SQL query. Then here we are cycling on the result set returned by the execution to copy all the items into a list of object of a company class. Here the company's list collection, here defined, declare. Okay. Then we close the result set, the statement and the connection, and return the company's collection. Okay, now let's come back to the backing bin. We want that when the JSF view add employee is loaded, this collection, companies list, is set to the values retrieved into the database. How can we do it? In this case, we will not use the system event listener as we saw before, but another JSF mechanism to manage the system events, which is the method binding. So let's copy another tag that we have to insert into the add employee view. Okay, let's see better this new tag, F column event. Here there is a mapping between the event, that is another system event, pre-render view, and a method, the init method of the backing add employee. The pre-render view event is triggered immediately before that the new view is showed into on the screen. So in this event, we execute all the initialization of the view. Now we can create the init method inside the backing bin. Let's copy and paste the code of this method. Okay, we have to define here the object to use to call the find all companies method. So the init method, first of all, retrieve all companies from the database and assign it to the companies list collection, and then add as the first item of the list an empty string. Okay, as we can remember, the companies list is the collection assigned to the F column select items tag. Well, now all is ready to run our application and see the company lists into JSF view. So let's stop here, close this connection to avoid conflict. And run on server. Add employee. Okay, we can see the list of companies that we stored into the database. Let's enter the other values. Okay, the new employee is in the list. Okay, that's all. In the next video we will see how to delete an employee selected into the list. Thank you for your attention. Bye.